Welcome to another episode of Critical Weight Theory, and today we'll be diving into the psychological horror film May, released in 2002. It's a good movie. It's a haunting movie at times, and it was written and directed by Lucky McKee. At least I think I pronounced his name correctly. But anyway, it's a fascinating exploration of loneliness, obsession, and the human desire for connection, which makes it, for many of us, a relatable story. Also, when I'm done discussing this cult classic film, feel free to stick around as I discuss not only loneliness as an issue, but what to do if you want a sense of connection but don't really want to interact with other people all that much. Sort of a unique issue for people to admit to, but I think a lot of people have been in that spot before. So, what is the movie May about, though? Let's start with that. Well, it follows the story of May Dove Kennedy, played by Angela Bettis. May is a socially awkward young woman with a troubled childhood. She had a lazy eye as a child, which led to her being teased, and it made her shy and all that kind of stuff. So that's sort of like the building block to her complex problems as a grown woman. So her only friend is a doll named Susie, which is a little awkward, but I think plenty of people have either imaginary friends or sort of obsessions that act as stand-ins for relationships. Like you hear about a person with like an obsession with toy trains or whatever. Well, they probably wouldn't call them toy trains, but it's like me being a horror nerd. That probably is a stand-in for certain human relationships I could have. Although I don't watch horror movies as much as I used to, and probably not as much as some people who are aware of my existence would think that I do. But anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked. May works as a veterinary assistant, and she struggles to form human connections due to her shy and introverted nature. As May becomes increasingly isolated, she becomes desperate for companionship. Her interactions with others lead to a series of disturbing events, which is not surprising for a horror movie. Eventually, May fixates on creating the perfect friend by using parts of people she finds appealing, leading to a gruesome and tragic conclusion. So, spoiler alert. But, I don't know if you would necessarily be surprised by that as the end result. And if you're listening to movie reviews, you might expect spoilers in general anyway. So what about the cast? You have Angela Bettis as May, who is actually really good in the role. Jeremy Sisto as Adam Stubbs, who is May's love interest. Anna Faris as Polly, May's flirtatious coworker. And I gotta give it up for Anna Faris. She is very flirtatious in this movie. She is appealing, and I don't want to say that I'm not at all attracted to Anna Faris, but in this movie she's more attractive to me than she is in other movies that I've seen her in. Again, not saying she's not attractive or anything like that. I'm just saying she stands out in this one. She does a really good job with her flirtatious character. And there's James Duval as Blank, a punk rock musician. And that's the main cast, the main people you'll find in this movie. There are some others, and you'll be able to look that up on IMDb. So, what are the themes and the style of the movie? Well, May delves into themes of loneliness, obsession, and the human desire for connection. The film's known for its dark humor, emotional depth, and a strong performance by Angela Bettis. Indeed, that's one of the strong points of this movie. it's one reason to check this one out because she actually, does the character justice. And in the hands of a lesser actor, this movie could have actually been worse. You know, uh, the story blends elements of horror and psychological drama, making it a unique entry in the horror genre. Um, because of the unique themes, I think that back when this movie came out, I don't I don't think there were as many movies that were kind of like this. You know, at least when I watched it back in 2002, it did strike me as being at least a little bit unique. And it was fun to actually watch this movie again after quite a long time. I mean, what was it? I guess boy, that would have been like over 20 years since I since I watched this thing. So that's kind of crazy. Thinking about that, but man, how time flies by. And even though there are dramatic parts of the movie, it's also funny at times. So I don't want to make you think that it's going to be like a soap opera all the time because it is funny. It's got some dark humor going on, as I mentioned, and that's actually in some ways more prominent than the dramatic aspects. Although they do a pretty good job of balancing those things out. So, critics generally gave May positive reviews, which was good. They deserved to get positive reviews for this movie. And, the direction was good, the performances were good, even some of the, less prominent characters did a good job. Well, you know how it is. You watch some movies and there might be some good performances, but there's somebody in there who kind of takes you out of the movie because they just didn't do the best job or whatever. But this one doesn't really have that problem. The film has gained a cult following for the unconventional storytelling and the character driven narrative. I wouldn't say it's a flawless movie, but it's good. You know, that's really all you need to know about it. Go ahead and check it out. I recommend it. And, you might appreciate it for its exploration of mental illness and the horror of isolation, or you might just, like the quirkiness of it. That's something that kind of draws me to this movie because it is quirky, it's odd. It kind of reminds me of, those moments where you kind of catch yourself being a bit of an oddball in public and you're like, oh, I better reel myself in a little bit. Well, May reaches a point where she no longer really does that all that much. So it's a character that is both sympathetic and terrifying at times. It's a memorable and impactful movie from early 2000s horror cinema. And I really think it's good. So now is the moment for personal reflection that I talked about. So if you're feeling lonely while not wanting to socialize, it might be referred to as covert loneliness. You can acknowledge your feelings without judgment. That's a good idea. Journaling can help you understand and process your emotions, providing a way to express yourself without needing to talk to others directly. And maybe sometimes you should try to talk to others even if you're not in the mood to do it. When I'm handing out this advice, I'm not using it as an excuse to be antisocial or even asocial. It's just, if you need a break from people, if you think it's healthy to take a break, I think there are ways you can get your mind right, get into a better space mentally. So you can engage in solo activities, and yes, there's a solo activity that if you've got a dirty mind, you might be thinking of. And you know what? I'm not going to even judge you for that. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. Maybe you'll feel better. Maybe that's all it takes, But there are other hobbies and interests you can enjoy too, or you can learn about, you can try them out. You might read, listen to music, play a musical instrument, learn a musical instrument, watch movies, or work on some creative project like painting, drawing, a podcast like this one. Engage in something you love or think you might love and think can be fulfilling for you. So, physical activity can boost your mood, like a simple walk or maybe some light stretching, even. I feel better after I stretch out after a long day of work or something like that. And you might be surprised too, like if you just splash some water on your face. I'm not even talking about taking a full shower, just splash some water on your face. It can be really refreshing. I do that at work sometimes when I want to sort of perk up. A lot of people would take a caffeine pill or something like that. But for me, just splashing some cold water on my face often helps. Or I might run my head under the sink, get my hair wet. It can be refreshing, sort of like taking a shower, only you don't have to spend all that time. Just that's something I do a lot at work. Honestly, like, granted, I have a job where I don't have to deal with coworkers or customers, so I can get away with having my hair all wet. But just something like that can be really refreshing. Really, one of the points is to just feel comfortable and have a good time. You know, engage in some stimulating thoughts, some creative pursuits, and maybe you'll feel more useful to yourself, which can be just as important, if not more important, than feeling useful to others. And then, of course, virtual companionship. The whole thing with being online. Sometimes, even though social media has a bad rap, but occasionally you might have some positive relationships with people online. You can also, again, listen to a podcast or start a podcast. Maybe listen to audiobooks or read a book. You can, do all that stuff without worrying about direct social interaction. So you can still have some simulation of a social life from a distance, and that could be a healthy thing at times. As Zig Ziglar said, you are what you are, and where you are because of what has gone into your mind. You can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind. So that sounds like a dumb quote, but it's actually kind of a smart one. So so this was a movie review and maybe a little bit of a therapeutic thing. I don't know, a therapy session. But thanks for joining me as I explored May and its sad themes of loneliness and connection and horror, the sheer horror that ensues. Remember, it's okay to feel lonely, and finding comfort in activities you enjoy can make a big difference. It might even get you out of a rut. You could even possibly make a career out of it if you're skilled in some new pursuit that you've tried out. So, until next time, take care and keep exploring the depths of human experience through film. And, oh yeah, one last thing. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on YouTube or if there's a subscription feature somewhere else. And you can always leave a review, even if you hate what I've said. Whatever. It might inspire somebody to check this stuff out. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on May and any other films you'd like me to explore. So, again, join me next time where we'll have another deep dive of some kind. Sometimes it's looking at cinema, sometimes TV. Politics can be in there as well as philosophy, just basically whatever captures my interest at a given moment. So, alright, have a good one.